Very good morning to present. Okay, so today we'll actually start with a topic called mass spectrometry. Mass spectrometry is a very interesting technique. Okay, so far we have seen a number of spectroscopic methods and their analytical applications. Okay, so one of the most important of analytical instrumentation is structure elucidation. So to do structure elucidation, one of the excellent techniques is mass spectrometry. Okay, so already I've told you a kind of mass spectrometer is actually employed in Mangalyaan, which is sent to explore the Mars. Okay, so one of the important part of your Mangalyaan 1 is a mass spectrometer. Okay, so we will see the type of the mass spectrometer that was employed in Mangalyaan was quadrupole mass spectrometer. Okay, we'll see it later, but first we'll see the principles of this mass spectrometry. Even though the name actually has a term called spectrometry, it is not a spectrometer in the truest sense, because whenever we tell a spectrometer, we normally mean that there is some sort of electromagnetic radiation interaction, but in mass spectrometer we don't have any electromagnetic radiation interaction. In spite of it, it's a very excellent tool for structure elucidation. Okay, we'll see what is the idea behind mass spectrometry. Basically, the mass spectrometry, if you want to put it as a single word or a single line, we are going to study the effect of we have an unknown molecule M. We are going to bombard it with highly charged electron beam. We are going to bombard it with highly charged electron beam. We are going to see what is the effect that is going to take place. That is essentially what mass spectrometer. It's like a trailer. I'm just giving a trailer for mass spectrometer. It essentially means that we are going to bombard the unknown mass with a beam of electrons. That is a fast moving beam of electrons. Okay, when you bombard with a fast moving beam of electrons, what are the reaction that takes place inside the molecule is essentially your mass spectrometry. Okay, so what we actually try to do is, okay, we initially take a molecule. We'll take ammonia. We'll take ammonia and bombard it. Okay, so we try to bombard it with electrons. Okay, so NH3, just erase it. I'll take ammonia, I'll bombard it with electron. What will happen when it bombards with electrons? There's an additional electron that is coming in, so it will become NH3 plus 2 electron. NH3 plus 2 electron. Okay, again, what will happen because of this very fast moving electrons getting bombarded? Okay, this will absorb the energy. This is NH3 is now a positive ion. Okay, now it was a stable atom. Now it was converted to a positive ion with high energy. What happens? The ion with high energy, it tries to stabilize itself. So what happens is NH3, it will fragment itself until it becomes stable. Okay, so this will undergo multiple fragments until it becomes stable. Okay, so this will undergo multiple fragments. Okay, now the interesting part about these fragments is we can categorize these fragments. We are going to categorize these fragments based on the mass to charge. For example, the mass to charge of this is 17, the mass to charge of this is 16, the mass to charge of this is 15, this is 14. Okay, so what the underlying concept is, when we bombard the unknown molecule with a beam of electrons, this essentially is converted into a positive ion, and this positive ion fragments itself. Okay, the way in which it fragments will give you an idea of how the actual structure is. Okay, this is like this. I'll just put it with an example. Suppose you have a team of 5 students standing as a circle. Okay, so we have a team of 5 students standing as a circle. Say they are holding their hands or something. They are holding their hands. Okay, now if I just allow some people to break in, okay, assume that the force is coming from all the sides. Which bond will first break? Which bond, my question is, which bond will first break? Okay, the first breaking bond will be the weakened. Whichever is the weakest bond will be the one that will be the first breaking. Okay, suppose these two persons are A and B are two feeble persons, are very weak, so they are just holding their hand. So first this particular bond will break. Okay, then the next weakest, then the medium strongest. Say this is the most strongest, so this will be the breaking the last. Okay, yes. So what this will tell us, how this particular group is characterized. Okay, so in the same way, the way in which these fragments will tell you about the structure of that particular molecule. The way in which it fragments itself will tell you the structure of the element of that particular molecule. This is the basic idea of mass spectroscopy. Okay, and further what we do is that, okay, since we have got different ions of mass to charge ratio 17, 16, 15, 14, we try to categorize them. We try to categorize them according to the mass to charge ratio. So this is, say, the intensity. So we'll identify how many ions are having a mass to charge ratio of 17, how many are having a mass to charge ratio of 16, how many are having a mass to 15, 14, because this particular reaction we have seen, this is for a single ammonia. Suppose you have a gas full of ammonia, then what happens? You will get, so from this you will be able to identify what is the dominant one, what is the least dominant one. So you will get, so this is for NH3, this is for NH2, this is for NH, this is N. Okay, so by means of, actually the peak will tell you how much energy it has been absorbed. Okay, so based on mass to charge ratio, we are separating the ions. Based on mass to charge ratio, we are separating the ions. Okay, so this particular thing is called as a mass spectrum. A mass spectrum. Okay, so that's a very interesting one. So if you have remember your ultraviolet spectroscopy or IR spectroscopy, where your x-axis is going to be a wavelength, so you're going to categorize the different signals based on the wavelength. If you remember the NMR spectroscopy or your ESR spectroscopy, where the x-axis is going to be based on shift, either it's a chemical shift or a proportionality factor. whereas in your mass spectroscopy it is going to be the mass to charge ratio. You're going to categorize different ions, different structures based on their mass to charge ratio. Okay, so why we are taking mass to charge ratio? Because at each stage of fragmentation it is characterized by different mass. The mass is different and its charge is also different, so the ratio of mass to charge is used to differentiate different ions. So ultimately you have a particular idea is, the ultimate aim of this particular method is, okay, you have an unknown molecule M. We need to identify what is this molecule. Okay, you bombard it with fast moving electrons. When you bombard it with fast moving electrons, this is converted to an ion. This is converted to ion, but the ion has high energy because of the electron bombardment. This actually fragments. Okay, the way in which it fragments will give you an idea about its structure. The way in which it fragments will give you an idea about its structure. Okay, so this particular method is used for structure elucidation. Okay, this is the core lying basic principle of your mass spectrometer. Okay, fine. Okay, so the next thing we are going to see is the instrumentation for mass spectrometer. Instrumentation that is required for mass spectrometer. So the mass spectroscopy is essentially, as I told earlier, it is the effect of bombarding the analyte, the unknown analyte, in gas phase. The unknown analyte in gas phase. Remember, I am using the word the unknown analyte in gas phase with high energy electron beam, and studying the consequences of this reaction. That is essentially mass spectroscopy, I told you. So for mass spectroscopy, essentially your analyte sample should be in gas, should be as a gas. Then only we can work with mass spectroscopy. Your analyte sample should be as a gas phase. Okay, not at a solid or a liquid. So any sample you have, you need to first convert that into a gas. Okay, that you need to convert that into a gas. Then only we are going to do the entire reaction and the study. Okay. Okay. So what are the components of your mass spectrometer? As we have seen, since we need to convert initially, as from the basic principle we have seen that first the analyte has to be converted into a gas, then we are making the gas to be striked with a fast moving electron. What essentially we mean by hitting the molecule with a fast moving electron? It is nothing but the process of ionization. You are trying to ionize your gas so that you convert your gas molecules into ions. You convert the gas molecule into ion, and as this gas molecule fragments itself, you separate or identify how many, you categorize them according to their mass to charge ratio. And then finally display them as a chart. This is what I told you, the mechanism, underlying mechanism. So based on this, so the first option is you have to convert your molecule into gas. So for that we have something called as inlet device. So inlet device is essentially, it's going to convert your unknown sample into or the molecule into a gas phase. To convert that into a gas phase, you require an inlet device. After you convert that into a gas, the second step is you're going to do the ionization process. You're going to do the ionization process. So for ionization process, you need an ionization chamber. You need an ionization chamber, okay, or it's also popularly called as ion source. It's also popularly called as ion source, okay. Then what is the next part that is required? You need to categorize them according to the mass to charge. So I can just put it as analyzer. You're going to need an analyzer which is going to separate them according to the mass to charge ratio. And finally, you require a detector. You require a detector and other processing equipments for understanding the chart and putting them as a thing. So now with this idea, we'll draw the block diagram of a mass spectrometer. Okay, so the block diagram of a mass spectrometer essentially contains 5 parts. You have 5 parts in your mass spectrometer. So the first one is an inlet device. Second one is an ionization chamber. Third one is an analyzer which separates according to the mass to charge. Then you have your detector. I've actually separated the fifth part into 2 parts. One is a detector and second one is all the processing and output devices. So which gives you the display of mass to charge, and it based on the mass to charge, it will compare with the database and it will tell you what are the dominant ions that are present in the sample. Okay, so this method is called as mass spectroscopy. This is a block diagram of a generalized block diagram of a mass spectrometer. This will change depending upon the different types. Okay, so first we'll start up with an inlet device. Okay, we'll start with an inlet device. Okay, so inlet device, as I told earlier, the main purpose of an inlet device is to convert the gas, the actual sample into a gas. To convert the actual sample into a gas, that's the main idea of your inlet device. Okay, to achieve this, what you're going to do, there are different methods by which you can convert this method into a gas. As you all know, what is the normal way? Suppose you have liquid. Okay, how will you make this into a gas? Most obviously you heat it. Okay, most obviously you heat it, thereby it will be converted into vaporize. Okay, same way. So same way we have different methods. Okay, so some of the methods, basically what they do is that there will be a probe. Okay, there will be a probe. Okay, so at the end of the probe, you will load the sample. This is for basically substance which are non-volatile. Okay, so you load the substance at the tip of it. Okay, and you will have a furnace kind of thing. You will have a furnace. Okay, you will have a furnace. Okay, so where we have this fire, you will just insert this particular probe into this cavity. This is a furnace. This is essentially a furnace. Okay, so this is a probe which contains the sample. The sample is inserted into this furnace area where it is converted to a gas. Okay, so this kind of thing is called as direct insertion probe. direct insertion probe. Okay, so by this method you will be converting your sample into a gaseous state. Okay, so there are multiple methods available, but we are restricting here to a single method by which you can convert your sample into gas. Okay. So the next part we are going to see is about ionization. Okay, so as far as ionization is concerned, or the ion chamber or the ion source, we have two types of ionization. Okay, you can broadly classify into two types. One is gas phase sources. So this is called ionization. Normally it is referred as ion sources. Ion sources, gas phase and desorption phase. Okay, gas phase and desorption phase. Okay, so what is gas phase and desorption phase? So gas phase sources are preferred for low molecular weight samples, for low molecular weight, and this is for high molecular weight. What I mean by low molecular weight is less than 1000 Dalton, less than 1000 Dalton, and this is greater than 1000 Dalton. This is what I mean by low molecular weight. If it is having low molecular weight, if the substance has low molecular weight, then we go for a gas phase source. If it has high molecular weight, then we go for a desorption source. Okay, so first we will start up with gas phase source. What is a gas phase source? Okay, so gas phase source. Here again we have two methods. Okay, we are going to see two methods. One is called as electron ionization. Second one is called as chemical ionization. Chemical ionization. Again we have another method. It's called as field ionization. Using the field you try to ionize it. Okay, so we have electron ionization, chemical ionization, as well as field ionization. We will concentrate on these two alone: electron ionization and chemical ionization. So first method we are going to see is called as electron ionization. What happens in an electron ionization? Okay, so basically in electron ionization you have a structure like this. Okay, so you have a place. So here you will allow the molecule, that is now the molecule is in gas phase. The molecule is in gas phase. You try to allow this molecule through this area. Okay, here this particular thing is going to be giving you fast moving electrons. It is going to give you fast moving electrons. Okay, these fast moving electrons actually they are actually moving in this direction. Okay, the direction of these ions are in this direction. Okay, so what happens now? So you have your molecule, these electrons move fast. As it moves fast, it actually disturbs the electron cloud. Okay, it's like you are a tight bound of 5 members you are standing it. Okay, when a person strikes you fast and move, what will happen? You'll all move from your place. Literally the same thing happens. The electron cloud actually gets disturbed. Because of this disturbance, it actually rejects or it actually emits an electron. Because of this disturbance, it emits an electron and it becomes positive ion. Okay, what happens in electron ionization? initially the molecule is in gas phase, it is allowed to flow through a chamber. The chamber is actually a passage for I electron beams to pass through. When these I electron beams pass through your molecule, it disturbs the electron cloud of your molecule. It disturbs the electron cloud of your molecule, and essentially that disturbance makes the particular molecule to reject the electron, converting itself into an ion. Okay, because of this energy disturbance, it is converting this into an ion. This ion now, because of the energy, okay, because why it ejected the electron? Because of the I energy, because this electron beam, when it crosses, when it disturbs the electron cloud, it tries to inject some energy. The molecule absorbs some energy. Okay, it normally happens, no? When you are static, when some person comes and eats you, you will just drifted to some more. கொஞ்சம் தூரம் போய் விழுவீங்க. Why? Because of that energy is absorbed by this body. Because of that absorption, you will have some force. The body will obtain a force. In the same way, because of this electron, the electron is not going to directly be absorbed. Rather, as it passes, the energy is absorbed by the molecule. This actually causes your molecule to fragment itself. Okay, it fragments by giving out electrons. So now this is a positive ion. Okay, so this method is called as electron ionization. Okay, so the second method we are going to see is called as chemical ionization. What this technique is essentially, okay, so you remember in old movies, even now also there are a lot of movies, there will be a villain group. I just put it in villain group. Okay, so you take the movie Billa itself, you have the villain. Okay, now the hero, we have a hero now. The hero has to study about this villain to capture the villain. So what he does in Billa movie, this hero is also trained as a villain. He'll be given a crime record, he'll be converted as a villain, and he'll introduce into that same place. In many films, if you see, they will be introduced into the jail where all other villains will be there. From there he will get contact and move to the villain's original place. Same way, our idea is to convert an unknown molecule in gas phase into an ion. We need to convert that into an ion. To convert that, what we are doing is we are using our hero. Here our hero is our methane. Okay, the methane, I can just put, it is called as a reagent gas. Okay, first what we do is that, so this reagent gas is first ionized. That is, you interact with an electron, so it forms CH4 plus 2 electrons. Again this CH4 plus ion reacts with further reagent gas molecules, and it forms some more ions. Okay, now these ions react. Okay, now these ions react with your molecule. You will get further number of ions. These ions interact with the molecule and it forms your actual positive ion, something of this sort. This is the very basic idea. Remember here, you have a hero, you have a villain. You want to study about this villain. What we do, we train the hero to be like a villain, okay, and this villain interacts with or comes in contact with your actual villain and gets its information. In similar way, here the hero is actually the reagent gas. The hero is actually the reagent gas. Okay. Now what happens to the hero? First you convert the hero into a villain. How you convert them into villain? By interacting with an electron beam. By interacting with an electron beam, you first convert your reagent gas into an ion. This reagent gas further interacts, say CH4 plus, reacts with some more methane to form CH3 plus or C2H5 plus. Okay. Now these ions, we have converted our reagent gas into ions. Okay. Now our hero has become villain. This villain, okay, now will interact. This is our villain, like hero. Actual hero now is in the form of a villain. He is interacting with the actual villain. He is interacting with the actual villain and converts him into a positive ion. Okay. This method is called as chemical ionization. Our idea is to get a positive ion out of our analyte sample. To convert that, what we do, first you have a reagent gas. That reagent gas is converted to ion. This is allowed to interact with your molecule and convert that into an ion. This is a very basic idea of chemical ionization. Okay, so this is a very interesting technique of chemical ionization. And the last technique is field ionization. I'll just give a clue about it. I'm not going to deal in detail. Basically, what do we do in a field ionization is, we'll have the sample. We'll try to use a field. Okay, highly a field in between these things. When you increase the field strength, because of this field, this will be converted into ions. Okay, that is the basic idea of this particular thing. Okay, so you'll have a substance by using a field. As you increase the field strength, so you remember in our FES, flame emission spectroscopy. So initially it was a molecule. When it goes into the flame, because of the temperature of the flame, it is converted into an atom. This atom is further dissociated into ions. Remember it? In the same way, here the flame temperature is going to contribute to the dissociation. Here the field is going to contribute for the dissociation. Okay, so by using a high field, you try to break the atoms into smaller things. Okay, this is called as field ionization. Okay, so these are the methods that are used for gas phase sources, that is for low molecular weight. So when you consider high molecular weight, which is actually above the scope of your semester topic, so you have two methods. One is called as FAB method, another one is called as SIMS method. FAB method is fast atom bombardment, and SIMS is secondary ion mass spectrometry, spectroscopy technique. Okay, so somewhat advanced method. I'll just tell you what is this FAB method alone. Okay, so basically your FAB method or fast atom bombardment, as the name insists, it's a fast atom bombardment. This method is preferred for molecular weight greater than 1000 Dalton. Okay, what we do is that we have an analyte sample which is dissolved in a mixture of glycerol. You mix it with an glycerol. Okay, and it is placed on a target. The sample mixture of your molecule and glycerol, it's placed on a target, okay, and you try to bombard it with a fast moving electron. A fast moving electron you try to bombard it with. When you try to bombard it, what will happen is you will absorb this energy. This particular sample will absorb this energy, will absorb the energy of the fast moving electron, and it will desorb itself. What will happen? Suppose you have this original AB, it will convert into A plus and B minus. Okay, so this is your original atom, okay, molecule. When it absorbs the energy, the உள்ளுக்குள்ளந்து வெடிச்சு தனித்தனியா போகுதுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க தெரியுங்களா, ஒரு எனர்ஜி அப்சார்ப் பண்ணி உள்ளந்து வெடிக்குது அந்த மாதிரி. ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் டைப் ஆஃப் மெத்தட் it breaks itself into, so this is called as desorb. Absorb opposite desorb. It desorbs into positive and negative ions. Okay, so this particular method is used for high molecular weight atoms. Okay, this is called as fast atom bombardment method, FAB method. Okay, that's it. So these are the methods. So what we have seen now is, so far we have seen what is the underlying principle of mass spectroscopy, and we have seen the block diagram of mass spectroscopy. So mass spectroscopy is essentially converting your or interaction of your unknown analyte with a fast moving electrons and seeing its consequences. Okay, what are the consequences? It actually breaks. The way in which it breaks will give you an idea about its structure. The way in which it breaks, it will give you an idea about its structure. Okay, and then you try to categorize it based on mass to charge ratio. Okay, so we saw the block diagram of your mass spectrometer, and we saw the parts. So the first part and the second part we have seen. The first part is the inlet device. The second part is the ion source. Okay, these two we have seen so far.